Hey guys, so I never thought there could ever be counterfeit kimchi, but I think that was what we were dealing with last time because I did go out and buy some real kimchi. Now, to give you a refresher, this is the counterfeit kimchi, okay? Last time I joked that it was made in Carson. You know what else is made in Carson? My yoga mats. Yeah, very good quality. So why isn't the kimchi good quality? Carson has nothing to do with it. I'm just trying to joke. But it's only because I went to Koreatown. Not that everything, made in Koreatown is like the authentic, but when I went into this place, I told you guys about Kaesong Kimchi. I bought this on Saturday. Look. If we've already ate this much and we don't even eat that much kimchi. This is Kaesong Kimchi. I'm just trying to, promote them in a way because I think they are doing it right. Why are they doing it right? How can you tell the difference between counterfeit kimchi and real kimchi? Now, it's not as if I don't think they purposefully tried to make fake kimchi. But I think what happened, now tasting it again in the interim from the last video, comparing it to this kimchi, I really do think it is a operations issue. It is a workers issue. I think they actually told their employees to just use sonmat. So sonmat is a concept in Korean where there's no recipes. It's either handed down or you watch your parents do it or your grandparents do it. And it's sonmat means the flavor of your hand. And it's supposed to be like, Americans say measure with your heart. So in Korea, you're sort of like measuring with your hand. And then there is actually some research saying that the actual bacteria on your hand, varying by your family and your grandma's, bacteria gives it a different flavor. So you can, debate that or think about that however you want to. But let's say everybody's wearing gloves. The sonmat or the hand flavor is essentially just a non-specific, non-measured way of putting together a recipe. Now that works if you have a lot of experience to draw upon, even if you're not a Korean chef or cook at home, you kind of do get a sense of like, it should be about this much, a pinch, 2 pinches, a handful. You kind of know the difference and where the flavor is supposed to come. Now, why do I think there was a problem with this counterfeit kimchi? I think when you tell employees who do not have a working knowledge of kimchi to measure with their hands, you're gonna get some problems on your hands. And of course they say kimchi is spicy, right? This is what I'm totally imagining just from the flavor happened at that factory in Carson. These employees were told kimchi is spicy. It uses green chilies. Sometimes they call it jalapenos, maybe even sourced in California, they used jalapenos. But even if it wasn't the same exact green pepper that they would use in Korea, I think what happened is the employees were just like, when you eat kimchi, at the end of the meal, you're gonna be like, oh, that was spicy. But actually on that first bite, you're gonna be like, oh, it's not that spicy at all. Because red pepper is a spiciness and a heat that builds. It's essentially from like the oils, I believe, from the seeds and also the actual peppers. So it kind of sticks and lingers in your mouth and it builds up. And at the end of the meal, which is what you'll probably remember, is just like, oh gosh, this is spicy. In the beginning, you're gonna be like, oh, that's not a big deal. It's not that spicy. Now, if you're going around making this in the factory and you know that kimchi is supposed to be spicy, you don't really know what you're doing with kimchi, but you do know it has to be spicy. If it's not, you might think as an employee, if this is not spicy on the first bite, I'm tasting it, you're not taste testing kimchi like a whole meal's worth. You're just kind of taking like that first bite, and if it's not spicy, you're probably gonna think you did something wrong. You measured with your hand wrong, and you're gonna get in trouble because it's not spicy. That's why this is why it's disgusting, is because the first bite has like a boom kick to it that is not in the flavor profile of kimchi at all. Another hint, I thought there was something going on with my mic before I started recording. There was like some strange sound. That sound was coming from this jar. Yes, because that fermentation makes a sound, especially in a closed environment. The gases are trying to escape. I'll hear a peep out of this one. Yeah, not at all. So this was making a noise because it is active. This one dead. You open it up, it looks dead. Okay, Kaesong kimchi, supposed to be a lighter variety, not as much, and I'm glad I did not make this video immediately after I bought it on Saturday. So now what is it? Tuesday. So it's been a few days. And I went to the actual store in Koreatown, which is not really a store, seems like a distribution center. And you know how I say, like, you know, these owners are probably sleeping at the wheel? Well, the owner over there, he looked like the owner's son. And, you know, while these people might be out golfing and then handing out the recipe that's non-existent to their employees, at least this guy was dressed in his golf clothes, but waiting. Like he was, it's a tiny little dank place with just some refrigerators, and I thought Jeffrey Dahmer was going to be coming out in an apron, but the dude, he was just, actually, there's only 2 places to park in front of his store, and his car is one of them. He was just chilling in the air conditioning in his car, and then when we came in, he's like, oh hi, yeah, he came out of his car and he, you know, took care of us as the customers. Were like, oh, it's our first time here. And so, yeah, maybe he's gonna go out golfing later after work. Different work ethic. So this one is 1.4 kilograms, and this one was 1.5 kilograms. And you guys, I wasn't joking. This is the medium size here in America. The big one is like, you literally like this big, like probably 3 kilograms. So this is 1.4 kilograms. It was $13. This was $9 at the store. And the guy did say, since you came to us directly, it's cheaper. It's $13 including tax. So I'm tending to believe that he is cheaper. I'm gonna go and check the price over at Galleria and see, you know, how much their markup is. So it is lighter, and the reason why I said that I am glad that I did not immediately make a video is because I think it was super fresh in the sense that it hadn't been fermenting too long. So when I tasted it on Saturday after I got home, I was like, okay, this is just kind of like a mild kimchi, but it had all of the kimchi components, and I was like, okay, I mean, it's nothing special, but it is kimchi. It does taste good. It doesn't taste amazing. Now, honey, on Tuesday, kimchi's gonna tell a different story if it's actually well made. Now this kimchi tastes amazing. And that's the fun part with kimchi, that if you actually buy kimchi, your kimchi should not be the same on day 1 as it is on day 30. And all y'all people in your family can debate, like, you know, which day, which fermentation that you like the best, and that's totally legitimate because it should be changing flavors. I'm telling you, this didn't change a flavor one bit in the whole time. And no, it cannot be too spicy. Okay, again, kimchi is not supposed to be the end all and be all. It is supposed to be the supreme accompaniment. It's supposed to be like your super best friend in the meal. It should mix with the rice. It should mix with the main dish. It should mix with the other side dishes as a team player that makes the overall meal better. And so, you know, similar to like the way that Chinese teas taste, you know, they're meant to complement a meal instead of water. That's why it's not like so flavored and like, with like berries and stuff like the French flavored teas, which are meant for just, the dessert. On the contrary, French wine, why is it so much more muted? Because French people, instead of drinking water, which would have given you like diarrhea back in the day, you had to drink wine. And so you can't have the wine overpower every single delicious thing that they've made on the meal. It has to complement. Now over in like, California, like the California wines, the New World wine, bold, single, it's just kind of like, do you want dinner or do you want to have a bottle of wine? Like you can literally just like, taste your liquid dinner. So okay, look, the color on this Kaesong kimchi, not only is in the Kaesong North Korean style, the company's called Kaesong, not sponsored, but honey, at this point, like, I'm just grateful for kimchi that I can eat. Now, this seems like a color profile that I'm much more used to, and so I always thought this was kind of like the Kyopo or Korean American kimchi. In Seoul, you'll see a lot more of this red, kimchi. Now, remember I said like, it's different between day 1 and day 30. So you'll have like, my mom like yesterday, like on maybe day 3 or 4 said like, oh, the Kaesong kimchi was like too ripe. And then I thought like it wasn't ripe enough. But at some certain point, probably around day 30, everyone's gonna agree, okay, now it's like way too overripened. It's time to make kimchi jjigae or kimchi stew. Now look at this color. The reason why I wasn't totally shocked is like I'm used to this color in Seoul, and so I was like, okay, but again, it looks dead, it feels dead, especially when you're comparing it to the way this looks. This is the good one, the Kaesong kimchi. This is the one made in the same city as the company that makes my yoga mats, and so you can see the difference. And this seemed like it started off dead and is just going to bad places in the cemetery. And now I'm more convinced that the people who have been, I bet they're, I don't know how they've been treated, but somebody who's treated well does not make kimchi like this. So it tastes like immediately, like from the get-go, spicy. And it's not supposed to, but I think they were just trying to keep their job because they're probably tasting the actual recipe and they're like, why is this not spicy? I thought kimchi was supposed to be spicy. It's supposed to build. By the end of the meal, you're like, ooh, that's spicy. But the first one, you're like, you should basically be like, if this is your first time eating kimchi, I didn't know it's spicy. It's not spicy at all. Because that's like, the first layer, and it's gonna layer. This one still has the crispness of the Napa cabbage. Remember, kimchi was meant to be as like a survival mechanism. You have your summer harvest, you grew all of the Napa cabbages, but even with the refrigerator, people are having their vegetables and produce spoil in 3 weeks. How are you gonna get all of this Napa cabbage to last you until April or May when you're harvesting it in like September or October? And so you ferment it, pickle it, just like sauerkraut, but the magic of it is that every time you do, like, let's say it's November, let's say it's January, you like busting out the kimchi because you're not gonna, so that you don't starve while there's no harvest, you get the crispness of kimchi, crispness of a vegetable that is impossible literally in the dead of winter. And that's the magic of it. And this tastes better now. So now what was different? It was so mild. It was like basically like a toddler kimchi on Saturday. Now on Tuesday, it is pretty much grown up. Has the full flavor. It should be like an arc of flavor within your mouth, and kind of like a good cheese, just full and satisfying, but yet not like Cheetos. Like, that's the end all and be all. It's usually, guys, you're not supposed to eat kimchi on its own in order to give it its full review or assessment, because it's not fair to do that. But this kimchi tastes fine, amazing on its own with no rice or other side dishes. I'm never one of these people who just can just mindlessly eat just the kimchi while waiting for the food to come out, the main food to come out at a Korean restaurant. This one, you can't, because it almost has that comforting profile of, like, if you can eat pickles by itself, or if you can eat sauerkraut by itself and not need all, anything else because it's been made well. That's how you should feel when you have like a good kimchi. Is this the most amazing kimchi I've ever had? No, because usually that most amazing kimchi you'll never find in the store. It's that auntie who is the best at making it, and she's putting in ingredients that you just can't mass produce if you're gonna try to make money. The best I've ever had was from my aunt, who, some of you might think this is disgusting, because I thought it was at first. I was just like, that should not be able to work. Raw oysters. Yeah, you think that you're gonna die if you eat it, but if you make it well, essentially, and you're having, in the plain Jane kimchi recipe, it's uncooked small shrimp, so it's not far off. Essentially what happens is that as that marine organism breaks down into the fermentation process, it gives it that umami flavor. I don't know who came up, it sounds Japanese, I don't know who came up with umami flavor, but I know a lot of Americans like saying umami flavor. So it sort of has the umami flavor, and the reason why it's so good when that is your secret ingredient, the oysters, is that it actually then turns into a smoky, rich kimchi. Then we're almost as if, like, it feels like you're eating meat, and it feels like the whole kimchi itself has like this added next level flavor profile where, wow, it is solid. So if you're a wine drinker, it's probably like a solid Cabernet Sauvignon with, like, the robustness that has been aged well, started off with good grapes, all that kind of stuff. Amazing. This one is more like a Pinot Noir. You still have the full body, but it's light, it's crisper, it's a little bit more citrusy, and it's not gonna have like a big old linger in the way that the flavor just stays on your tongue. I could keep eating this, and I'm happy to see this jar. In this jar, I don't know what we're gonna do with her, but it looks counterfeit. Not that that was their intention, but you know how, like, if you have like a counterfeit leather good, like purse or wallet, it might look fine, but then when you are touching the leather, you're just like, there's something really off about this, and it's more than just not right, it's like really off-putting, even though, I ain't gonna judge if you got like, your Canal Street, because why not? Anyhow, so this, when it comes to food though, we should not be eating counterfeit food, and it's hard to really try to explain what is going on with your taste buds and then how it goes into your brain in order to kind of describe what is a good kimchi or not. And especially when people are like, oh, there's so many different ways to like kimchi, so I don't want to say which is the best. Yeah, but you can't say something that is like gonna make you throw up, be like, oh, that's just a style of kimchi. No, like, you want to know. No. And then this one, good, solid. And then you debate on whether you like day 2 versus day 5 versus day 7, and you know when you're gonna throw this into kimchi jjigae like day 14. Now, there's some kimchis that are like 2 years old and they have been, you know, just like really handcrafted, and you know, like a wine that can go for 100 years and get better at year 100, not like a wine that basically say like, oh, you better drink it this year, otherwise it's gonna go dead. So kimchis are made differently, but usually, like, you know, if it's not like so well crafted, like it can't go that long. And then after a while, you know, no matter how, you know, decent the store-bought one is, you're just going to say like, hey, let's make it into kimchi bokkeumbap or kimchi jjigae, but at least is kimchi. All right, guys, so I totally recommend this one if you can get it at your local market. I guess I'm gonna be trying many different other kimchis because this has now gotten to be public safety. We can't have her, like, you know, popping out of Carson and going all over the country. Not like this. No, not like this. She can't. All right, guys, so which day do you like your kimchi? If you don't have if you had a good one, you know, do you like it right away? Do you like it a few days? Do you like it a week, 2 weeks, a month? Leave your comments below. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.